Hey, Magic Makers, do I have a show for you? Today, I'm going to talk about getting unstuck. And I want to talk about this because I hear it all the time. People are like, "Oh, I'm so stuck. I don't know how to move forward. I keep feeling like I'm a dog chasing its tail." And so today it's all about how do I shift from being stuck to feeling like you just know what to do. And when you get into that feeling of you just know what to do, it feels magical, right? That's the best way to describe it. So the first place I want us to start is that I have to accept where I am. And my favorite poem, I don't know if it's a poem or a saying, it's by Arthur Ashe. It's like, start where you are, do what you can with what you got. And so many of us, I think we feel stuck because we think things are outside of us. Like that everything that we want, there's something out there. If I just found it, it would fix all of my problems. And I will say this over and over again. You're not a washing machine. No one out there is Maytag. There's no repairman that comes to fix you. You can fix yourself. When I first started coaching and the coach certification that I went through, it said the mantra, right? Because it's like, as a coach, you see where your clients are heading and you just want to hop in and just do this and everything, all your problems just going to go away. And they kept saying, the client has the answer. The client has the answer. Excuse me. The client has the answer. And that was always the mantra that they said, play in the back of your head, because as much as a coach wants to hop in and help you, but it's a dialogue. It is a back and forth dialogue that you and your coach come to. And as you work with a coach, you build that trust. And so, they always say that it's always about know, like, and trust. And with that coach, it is that coaching relationship it's about trust. It's like trusting that you've picked the right person who can help you solve your problems, help you move the ball, help you move the ball forward. And so the first place is that I have to accept where I am, right? And it's like we all, many of the women that I coach are A plus plus people, right? They in their head are like, they know where they want to be, but they're like, when they start something, they start down the journey, they're like, I should be further ahead. I should be further ahead. Or they're looking at past versions of themselves and they're like, oh my God, 10 years ago, Kim, 5 years ago, Kim used to be able to do blah, blah, blah. And I just can't do it now. And they feel powerless because they want to do all the things. They want that, like, they want it like right freaking now. And here's where I have to us, say to ourselves, it's that I have to live in the here and now, because I do, I look back at myself and I think back 10 years ago, I was still working in a gym. I was trying to build my coaching business outside of the gym, and I also had a full-time job, and was competing. And I'm like, for the love of all that is holy, no wonder I was so bleeping tired. I was doing so many things and I wasn't doing them right. I wasn't doing them well. I just literally was like, you see those those people like with jugglers. I somehow was keeping all of those balls up in the air. No wonder I was always so damn tired. Because I was trying to do too many things. And that was one of the first things I had to do in order to get to the level I am right now. I had to pull back. I had to start saying no to some things. I had to, even though I liked doing it, it wasn't a hardship. It was a time hardship that I didn't have. Like, I was scheduled to within an ounce of my life. And I see it with my clients. I'll be like, oh, hey, how come, they'll be like, "Ah, I didn't get the workout in today," or "Ah, I didn't get to go grocery shopping." And whatever it is. And I was like, oh, what happened? Well, work. And I just had to work, or the kids, or this, because it's like we schedule our lives within so tight. And, there's if you're into the woo woo, people say we don't leave room for the magic, right? We don't leave room for the magic, or we get caught in, this is how my workout has to look like, and I'm guilty of it, hand raised right now. I felt that if my workout was not 2 hours and I wasn't doing body part splits, why work out? And that was it. So either I could do it all in or don't do it. And now I look back at myself and I was like, what? What? That doesn't make any kind of sense, Kim. Why would I not work out? And now my mantra is something is better than nothing. So now if even if it's a 15 minutes of stretching, it's a 15 minutes ride on my Peloton. It is better than sitting on my butt doing nothing, ruminating over, oh, I just don't have time in my life. Right. So we have to start thinking differently and stop feeling powerless that we can't do all the things. It's like we start to feel empowered about what are the things I can do. It might not look like how I wanted to right now, but how can I at least accept where I am? And so here in this kind of stage, it's like I want to take a step back and I want to assess and I want to observe, like, what is actually working, what's not working, and am I just replaying old chapters of my life? One of the things I regularly see when I talk about replaying old chapters is that if you worked with me probably 10, 15 years ago, I was all about the 5 small meals a day. I'm like, 5 small meals a day, 2-hour workouts, 6 days a week, or you're never going to get results. Now, with more research, now knowing what I know now, but with research, the new research that comes out that I read, and but also knowing like how life is, I'm not that person with my clients. With my clients, I'm like, okay, I know you tell yourself you have to have these 5 small meals, but as we get to over age 40 and I'm not doing the 2 hours at a gym, my metabolic rate is slowing down because I am not lifting like a crazy person at the gym. So I have to adjust based on what I'm doing right now for my workouts. So of course my food's going to have to come down. Also, I've also learned that I need to add space, that it's not about eating on time, because that is bro science. There is, unless you have if you have some research out there that you want to share with me, bring it on, sister. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. But what we are seeing is that we need the space to digest, right? Because if I keep always putting, food into the wood chopper, it doesn't give an opportunity for it to burn out. I want you to think about, not wood chopper, wood stove. So think about, if you've ever built a fire, you throw the logs on, it gets all nice and hot. And then eventually, everybody wants to go to bed or wants to leave the campfire. You have to let the fire die out. And that's what we don't do. We have here, at least here in America, we are so afraid to be hungry. And what I've learned over the last several years is that I ate too much. It was healthy. No, there was nothing that was like crap food, but it's a little bit too much. And so I had to learn to surf my hunger versus, I was like Pavlov's dog. Like it was 10:30, ding, time to eat. It was 3:00, ding, it was time to eat. And I had to get out of that. So I want us to start to really just take a step back and observe and assess what access, ASS, not obsess, and just gather data, right? Gather data. What are you eating? How are you working out? How are you sleeping? What are your hungry levels like? What are your energies level like? So that we can start to say, okay, what are the things we need to improve? What are the things that are just doing great? And so that way we can start to create ourselves a strategy versus this close my eyes and pray for the right thing to pray for me to hit the right place to start. The second piece is what does your journey look like? And if I don't like the journey, I won't last. And I say journey, and I'm I mean the word journey is diet. So many people think, and because we grew up, we were like the OGs of diet culture. If it wasn't following, the Zone diet, Weight Watchers, Atkins, South Beach, the cabbage soup diet, the Master Cleanse. If we weren't doing all of those things, then, the diet told us how to eat, and we lost touch with, am I hungry? What's my energy like? What's my craving like? What is the food I'm putting into my mouth? How is my body responding to it? Am I getting bloated? Am I getting gassy? What is going on? And so that way, and then eventually, you just got sick of eating like that. And then you were I'll have to find something else. I'll for someone else to tell you how to eat. And I know many of you are just tell me what to do and I'll do it. But I want you to know, if you're telling me this now, How many times have you said it? Just tell me what to do and I'll eat it. And then you do it until it doesn't work for your life. Where I'm shifting the paradigm for you and I'm saying, okay, what is your life like? So that we can start to create what I call my reps, a realistic plan for you, a plan that you're excited about, a plan that you can actually make a plan around your life versus, wrapping yourself around the axle in order to fit your life around the plan. And then finally, sustainability, so that it's not this, I can do it for 30 days, I can do it for 75 days, and then like, woo, you're off to the next thing. It's like, how do I start to, figure it out so that I'm not going from diet to diet, guru to guru, and relearning and reacclimating things? Because I see it all the time that like you're trying to, I feel like if there's certain pieces of a diet that worked for you, hang on to it. And if there are other pieces of the diet that don't work for you, toss it in the lake. Bruce Lee, he was a martial artist, and he said, take what you need, leave the rest. And, he was, even, and I'm using martial arts as like a broad stroke because that's what he did. He learned various styles, that's the word, styles of martial arts. And he took a little bit of here, took a little bit of that, and brought it into his own style. So I want you to start thinking about that. Like, I don't have to like put the blinders on and just be like, this is how I eat. Where it's like, well, I like this part of it because that works for my life. It's realistic for me, but this part, not so much. And that's okay. You can leave it, right? Because I think many of us our fears about doing something different is based in our mindset, right? And we start to have these internal conflicts because our internal conflicts want to keep us stuck. They want us to feel safe. One of the biggest human emotions is certainty, right? Certainty and safety. And I know that if I eat this way, I'm not going to die. I might not have the optimal body composition that I want, but I know how to do it. I know I'm not going to die. So I'm certain that it's giving me something. At some point, it's giving me something. And maybe it's giving me that like something to complain about. And, I just need something to complain about. Or maybe it's just giving me that sense of like, I just know how to do it. I go to the grocery store and I just buy the same stuff. I know what to cook. Maybe that's what it's giving you, but it's like those internal conflicts, that's keeping you stuck. And here's where we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace, that it's like the first few steps are going to feel awkward. I coach a lot of running, and we have a point where we're running really fast, and then we have to come back to a slower run. And after you're running at like say 6 miles an hour, and you're trying to come back down to 4 miles an hour, those first few steps are like, whoa. And then you kind of start to like get into the rhythm. And I think I know that many of us, when we are coming down and taking those first few steps as the treadmill starts to slow down, we get scared. Our body's like, I don't know if we can do this. And so it's easier for you just to stop and walk than it is to take those first few steps. And here's where I'm going to challenge you to take those few steps. And those few steps are called grace, right? And many of us do a crap job of giving ourselves grace, and giving yourself that space to take the journey, even if it feels hard, even if it feels icky, it feels sticky. We have to take that space. You have to take that space. You deserve that space so that you understand that you're going to be safe on the other side. And so as I talk about running, and I laugh because, if you've been listening for a while, I don't run. I used to run. And so one of the things with when you're doing training for a long distance race, you do a lot of like interval training. So that way it helps you to get faster. So you're running at a faster pace. So say like you're running at 6 miles an hour, and you're doing that for like, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and so forth. And then you come back to like your normal running pace. And you're doing that as a way to show your body that we can do more, that we're capable of doing more. And that's what we're doing here when we are trying on different diet styles. We're eating different foods. Like, we're not married to what I'm doing right now. We're just experimenting. We're just testing it out so that we can, build that trust. We can build the certainty inside of us. And so, so here's where we kind of start to say, instead of saying, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, we have to tap in and say, what is my desire, right? What do I want? And many of us, we don't take the time. I was recently just at a mastermind event, and the woman said that, in a business, we need to take CEO days, like take a day and like zoom out and be the CEO of our businesses. And I know I am so guilty of not doing that. I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that I'm serving my clients. I want to make sure that I'm delivering on the things I told them I was going to delivering on. I'm coaching them. I'm answering their questions, right? That's where I'm good there. But when you start to become an entrepreneur, you don't say to yourself, like, I need to build a business, right? Though that's for like CEOs. And I'm like, dang, I'm the CEO. And so you're the CEO of your body. So you have to zoom out and start to say, like, what do I want? Like, where do I want to go? Versus just being in the like, do mode all the time. And then I have to say, like, what do I need? Like, how, like, if I want to step out and say, this is what I want, like, zoom, this is what I want. And then as I kind of like, am I in that 30,000 foot level? It's like, what do I need? What are the steps that I need to take to get me to go where I want to go? And also give myself grace that, if you're someone who has a long way to go and you're looking to lose 40, 50 pounds, that ain't gonna happen overnight. It's just not. I'm sorry. And if someone tells you it's gonna happen overnight, like, I'm going to say good luck with that, but I'm not that girl. I'm the person who's like, you know what? I would rather you lose a quarter pound every 2 weeks and keep it off than tell you that you're going to lose 50 pounds in 30 days. Because I know I've seen it over and over again. And I see the heartbreak, and then it's never the diet. It's always you. You're like, I didn't go hard enough. I didn't have enough willpower, didn't have enough discipline. And you just keep telling yourself that over and over and over again. And so we also have to think about like our duties, our obligations, like, and I share these examples with you because I want you to pull back. When I was doing a lot of bikini fitness coaching, I remember this woman, she, had just started. She's like, hey, all my friends are doing a bikini competition. I'm going to do a bikini competition too. I'm like, awesome, great. And she's like, but my family and I were going to Italy in August. And I was like, no, so just go in September. I was like, well, that's pretty close to your show. And like her show was like the end of October, beginning of November. And I was like, that's pretty close to your show. Why don't we postpone? Why don't we just postpone it and, go enjoy Italy, and you're not thinking about like getting to the gym. You're not thinking about your food. I just want you to go, because how many times, unless you're that person, but how many times do we get to go to Italy? Right. And so she's like, no. And she just got like offended that I was like telling her she can't do the show. And I was like, no, what I'm saying is it's not optimal. And I'm trying to have you like be with your family and have this great family trip that, 10 years from now, you can look back and your kids are like, Mom, do you remember when we went to Italy and how fun it was? Blah, blah, blah. Versus, Mom, do you remember we went to Italy and we had to wait for you to come home from the gym? Do you remember we went to Italy and you basically cooked, told the chef how to cook the food? That's what I'm trying to, that was what I was trying to get her away from, because I was that girl, right? I was the girl who told the chef exactly how to do things when I went on vacation, and had to stop the fun of vacation so I could find a damn gym. And so I want us to kind of like look at like our lives and how we can work this into our life versus work our lives around it. And then finally, that fear, it's like we're afraid that it's not going to work. And, especially if you are, I work with a lot of women, 40s, 50s and beyond, and they've been doing the same stuff over and over and again. And whenever I say, hey, we're going to try something a little bit different, and they're like, whoa, right? It makes it seem like, I'm asking you to shave your head and walk naked down the main street of your town. And I'm asking you to like, hey, maybe you don't have oatmeal for breakfast. Try, some other thing for breakfast. And, it's kind of like, in a party, like the record scratches and the whole party stops and stares at you, so it's like, you're just fear of like, what if it doesn't work? I've been doing this over and over and over again. Trust me, I ate oatmeal for breakfast for at least 10 years. every single day. I had oatmeal, egg whites, in some form of berries in it. One day I happened to buy a pineapple and I put it in there. It was a game changer. One day I was on vacation, there was oatmeal and they didn't have any eggs, but they had cottage cheese. And I said, let me put it in there. I'm like, what will it taste like? I put it in there, it was delicious. So you never know if you don't try. All right, done with my TED talk on changing it up. And then finally, like expectations, right? We put so much intense pressure on ourselves that it has to look a certain way. It has to be a certain way, or it just is not going to be. So let's just pull back on our pressure. Let's just start to say, can we take it one day at a time? I'm a big fan of 90-day goals, right? So it's like, in the next 90 days, this is what I want to achieve. And then break it down by 30-day goals so that I can step it back and then assess after 2 weeks, how's it going? Versus, I know some people who are listening to this, they step on the scale every darn day. And then, that daily scale weigh in makes or breaks your day. If you're someone who has to weigh yourself, at least do it weekly, because especially as a lady, there's so many fluctuations that happen on a daily basis. And then at least if you do it on a weekly basis, I want you to just use data. And then I want you to just kind of use that as a data point and then reflect. All right, how'd the week go? And not in an invitation to start beating yourself up like Mike Tyson. Open the dialogue up. And so I always say, remember in elementary school, there was no A, B, C, so forth. It was, excellent, satisfactory, needs improvement. And just look at your week and say, did you have an excellent week? Great. Rock on with your bad self. Did you have a satisfactory week? Great. Awesome. And if I had a needs improvement week, I can look back and I say, okay, what were some of the things I need to work on? And then when I say that, then it's like, instead of saying I got to do all the things, because guess what? We suck at doing all the things. And let's just admit we suck at doing all the things. It's not not slam. It's just, I mean, come on. How many of us can put on a flippin' cape and leap tall buildings in a single bound? Nobody. At least you can't do it on a consistent basis. So here's where I want us to kind of just say, all right, you know what? My food stunk. And so maybe it was all of your food. And you know what? I'm just going to focus in on lunch. All right, I'm just gonna make sure this is what I'm focusing on, or I'm gonna focus in on breakfast, or I'm gonna focus whatever. Just pick one meal and for the next 7 days, I'm just gonna focus on making sure that's firing on cylinders before I move on to the next meal. Okay. And a lot of this is inner work, and inner work ain't sexy and ain't pretty, but it's challenging, especially for us people who are we're doers. Just give me a list and I will just blow through that list. I will just do it. But it's for me, it was the inner work is what allowed me to crack open myself and to break out of the I must do it in this. I had I've talked a lot about, the 4 mindsets here, and I had a very rigid mindset. I was very rigid. It was it must look like this, or I'm not going to. I was a freaking robot. But now, as I always equated to GPS, and now I'm like, you know what? If I take this exit and it gets me there 5 minutes faster, I'm going for it. And I want us to start to get there, because that rigid mindset is going to either slow our progression to our goal, or it's just going to keep us, spinning around like a freaking merry-go-round. Okay. And in this inner work, it was the only way I got to this point where I am today, is because I had to get past my old stories, and I had to, not, and when I did, it wasn't like having a pity party. It wasn't, ruminating. I can't ever say that word. It wasn't ruminating on all the old stuff. It was more like, okay, this is what I did in the past. And you know what? If either it didn't get me results, it wasn't getting me results right now, or I just didn't freaking like it, and the gym was my happy place. And I was no longer looking forward to my gym. I was no longer looking to it. So I was like, I had to change something. And, just because I beat myself into submission, my body was like, girl, you can't do these kind of workouts anymore. So I had to, that was another clue, right? A clue that was and I say this all the time, my body was screaming, it started as a whisper. And if I, hindsight being, 2020, my body was whispering for about a good 6 years before it finally like set itself on fire. It was like, you girl, you better listen to me. Um, so it's really taking this step right here. That's hard. It is hard because you don't want to slow down, but it's like I said, I had to zoom out and really look at my life, look at my body and be like, all the stuff I'm doing, it ain't get me where I want to go. So I have to do something different, even if it feels so awkward, it feels so icky, it feels so like it's, praying to the gods above, is this going to work? And looking at it, it just helped me to stop repeating the same, help me to keep repeating the same mistakes. Because I hear it all the time. My clients are like, well, when 10 years ago, when I was eating 5 meals a day, I was going to the gym 2 hours at a clip, I was in the best shape of my life. Great, awesome. Now, Sharon, can you do that now on a consistent basis? Like, I want you to like flash forward ahead 90 days. And I want you to say, could you, for the next 90 days, do that? And I get like huh, right? And then I'm like, okay, now flash forward another 90 days, flash forward 2 years. And for many people, I'm like, we're not 20 something anymore. And I don't have that kind of time, or nor do I want to make that kind of time. At this point, many of you have children and those children need rides here or help with their homework or some other thing that you need to help them with. Or we have aging parents that we need to do things for, or we have a spouse that we're like, hey, I know you don't want to wait for me to come home from the gym all the darn time. Or, when we go out on a date night, I'm like beating the crap out of the waiter, or we're only going to specific places because I have to eat a certain way. And I know this feeds into, because I know this was my identity for a really long time. My identity was gym rat. That was me. I was like, the gym was my happy place. It still is. I still, love the gym, but I've also learned to develop a life outside of the gym, so that my life doesn't revolve around health and fitness, which is funny because that's my business, right? My business, health and fitness. But I feel that it's my calling to help you understand that many of us think that in order to get healthy, that my life has to revolve around health and fitness, but you can have other interests outside of health and fitness. And, I've had a couple of other guests on and we just laugh because we're just like, yeah, it took a little bit to come to Jesus on that. And so, our identities also tell us our beliefs about ourselves, and I will admit, I am a recovering winger. I can wing a lot of things and I can get away with it. I could talk my way in and out of stuff, to myself, to other people. But because I was a winger, I resisted making a plan. And I see so many people, Kim, I just can't track my food. Kim, I just can't track my workouts. Kim, I just can't. And it's because this is the identity we tell ourselves. And so for me, I'm like, I needed to literally sit down and write out when I was going to work out. So now it's pretty much what I do. But originally it was like, oh, maybe I'll work out in the morning. Oh, maybe I'll work out at night. And it was just like, and then like, it didn't happen. And so it was like, at the beginning, it's like anything, when you try to start a habit, it's a little like, awkward. And then it just becomes what you do. Now working out, it's just what I do. I don't even think about it. During COVID, I had already started working out at home, and I never thought I'd be someone who worked at home. I always thought I need to go to the gym. The gym just tells me to work out. And then I started working out at home primarily because one year we got 100 inches of snow here in Boston, and I was sick of shoveling out my car to get to the gym and then shoveling out my car to get home from the gym. That's really what drove me to start working out at home. And then I was like, then I did the math and I was like, you know what, how much time? And I was going to the gym. I work out in the morning. I was going to the gym. And by the time I was coming home, I was coming home when all the kids were going to school. And I was literally stopped by every darn school bus crosswalk on my way home. So what was a 15-minute ride was taking me like 30 minutes to get home. And I'm like, seriously, I'm done. And I started working out at home, and now I enjoy it. It's a leisurely morning for me because I get up, I have coffee while I foam roll. I don't have to worry about someone's on the good squat rack or someone's using whatever I want to use because it's me. It's me. Although I do have those, my husband doesn't rack his weight, so I have that. But that's about it. And lastly, here's where we just want to craft our vision. It's like, what do you want? Instead of saying diet X tells me I got to do A, B, and C, what do you want? How do you want it to go? I know we can't have Oreos and ice cream every single day. However, what do you want so that we can stop just doing and map it out and also say to ourselves, like, I'm willing for it to be different. I'm willing for it to look a little bit different than what it looked like for Kim in 2012 versus Kim in 2022. And I know it's going to feel overwhelming, but here it's like, here I can have a strategy. Because when I have a strategy, I'm no longer winging it. When I have a strategy, I was like, you know what? When I started doing this, things worked out really well. When I did this, I'm like, it didn't work out so well. And I'm able to know versus like, what have I been doing? What did I do? Right. Or stop doing things that just made me feel like crap. And so give yourself the permission for it to be different. Give yourself permission to test things out, because your ultimate success is that, and how you get unstuck, the theme of this podcast, is that you find things that are realistic so that you have these great choices that work for your life. You're clear about where it is that you want to go. You are excited, right? So that you are connected, that you know why you want to do this, because your why is your motivation, right? Why is your motivation, and that you are excited about being creative about the approach that you're going to take to this. Then we move it to our plan, right? We create a plan that is giving us the courage to say, you know what? It's going to feel icky. It's going to feel weird, or hey, it might feel amazing. And why the hell didn't I do this previously? And then we get to the point where we are in that sustainability, so that it's like, the Fit Girl Magic formula. It is great habits lead to routines. Those routines lead to consistency. And ultimately, that gives us our long-lasting results. All right, Magic Makers, let me know how this is landing with you. I hope you have enjoyed this show. And as always, do me a favor, reach out to me on the socials. Like, let me know how this is landing with you. Is there, a part 2 of this that you want? You drive the content for these shows, and I want to make sure that I am delivering on what you want to hear. All right, Magic Makers, enjoy the rest of your day.